Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. My name is Graham Day. This man is Bibby, and this is the Scoop.
Jesus, right.
I just decided halfway through. I thought, oh fucking hell, I sound like what's he called? Snowbite Mike's esports voice. I'm kind of funny, and I thought it's when he's doing the like live 10 a.m. Twitch.tv. It's the Scoop, and I thought, so yeah, I just kind of like half lent into it, not fully committed though. But anyway, as mentioned, this is Bib. I'm Graham. We are Ice Cream, and this, in true Ice Cream fashion, is the Scoop, the UK's best video games podcast. Even if we do say so ourselves. Anyway, we give you our thoughts and impressions on the biggest, best, and the breaking news stories from the world of video games, and we want your thoughts and impressions on our thoughts and impressions. We are live right now on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. If you're in the chat, please feel free to get involved. That's how you give us your thoughts and impressions, and that's important because we turn this into a YouTube video and then a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play. So if you're getting involved in the chat, you can represent everybody else. Represent, y'all. So yeah, please feel free to use the voice. Anyway, what did you get up to last night, babe?
Not much actually. I started to watch The Big Night In with Samantha. Finished that and then played a bit of Valorant with Buzzkills Connor. ES. Played one game with him and then moved on to another thing. Not much. What about you?
I finished watching season 1 of Money Heist, and that was it. No video games. I had a night off from the games last night. Money Heist, pretty decent program. So still struggling a little bit with the English dub over the Spanish chat, but it's decent. It's decent.
Right. I didn't know it was like that.
I've just noticed that we were on Elder Scrolls Online category, but I've changed that so that if you have that on your browser, so if you refresh, that should be good. There we go. Back into talk shows and podcasts. Also, yeah. Thank you for the resub, me. You welcome me. Oh, cheers, me. I had a
the noise as well.
Which one?
I didn't. The normal one. I thought we was gonna say we was gonna look at changing that at some point.
Yeah, that's what I got. I got the normal one as well, which is annoying. I wonder if it's.
I had it for your PC.
I wonder if it's Twitch Primes. I wonder if that's what it is. But anyway.
Generic noise for just Twitch Prime, you reckon?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know how much I'm got? No, I'm not looking now. Looking later. What we're talking about there is we just changed all of our alerts noises. So let me show you. If someone subscribes to the channel, it should do this. See, that's what it should do.
This is a test.
But yeah, it doesn't. Anyway, if you do have any Twitch Primes lying around, feel free to use it like I just did for the 22nd time on this channel. So feel free to drop it. You don't have to. You can. It's up to you. Anyway, the reason we are here is to talk a little bit about video games news. And if you've seen, obviously, we've led with one particular story, which is on the Ice Cream Uploads Twitter, at Ice Cream Uploads on Twitter, if you want to know what that is. But let's jump straight into today's news. There we go. Written by Michael Beckwith for Metro. Fortnite's Travis Scott concert is watched by over 12 million, which breaks Marshmello's previous record. So rapper Travis Scott's Fortnite concert is still running, but its audience numbers have smashed a record and are still growing. Earlier this week, Epic Games officially announced that it would be collaborating with rapper Travis Scott and holding a live concert within its Battle Royale game, Fortnite, something that had already been discovered by data miners. And while at first he seemed something of a random choice, his astronomical concert has attracted roughly 12.3 million Fortnite players who jumped in the game to watch it. This is impressive on its own, but it's also managed to break the record set by the last Fortnite concert to be held, where DJ Marshmello entertained an audience of over 10 million. These numbers are only taking into account the people who took part in the concert in-game. Many more watched the concert via streamers who broadcast it on their own Twitch or YouTube channels, meaning Scott's numbers are likely even bigger and will no doubt continue to grow. Astronomical is set to have 4 more performances between today and tomorrow. If you need a reminder, the dates and the times are below. So EU and Middle East, they'll have 10 a.m. EDT or 3 p.m. BST, 7 a.m. PT. So that's today. That's 3 p.m. today for the UK, and then tomorrow 4 p.m. for the UK. Those are the next 2 concert schedules. In the meantime, data miners have continued to scour the game's code for more potential hints at future updates, and according to the latest finds, Fortnite could be adding a feature that will allow players to swim underwater. There we go. Are you a big Travis Scott fan, babe?
This is going to make me sound well old, but I honestly do not. I know who he is, but I don't think I've ever listened to his music. Same with Marshmello, I don't think I've ever listened to his music as well. I'm more pissed off that this number beat the Weezer concert that was in the game. That was a concert that I thoroughly enjoyed within the game when they brought the new album out. But yeah, I'm an old. Well, I'm 29 years old and I feel like an old man looking at this. So Christ knows what you feel like.
No, I fully know Travis Scott and all the songs that he does. Yeah, I'm a fan of the words that he says in those songs. And
it sounds like you're typing.
No, I'm absolutely not just typing. I mean, my favourite songs, just off the top of my head, SONGS, enter, is maybe Highest in the Room, or even like going older, like maybe Maria, I'm Drunk.
Yeah, okay, that sounds like something that Michael Scott from The Office will end up singing rather than Travis Scott. But yeah, the concert definitely wasn't aimed at me, at my music taste. As I said, the Weezer one would have been fantastic to rewatch again, but Weezer are a band from the very early 90s. I think the demographic of, 7 to my age is probably the right, Travis Scott, yeah. Great guy, I imagine, but I don't think his music's for me.
Talking about Weezer from the early 90s. God, have a little respect. That was a Weezer cover, wasn't it?
That was Weezer.
Oh, was it? I'm joking. I'm joking. I only know what. I only know one Weezer song anyway, which is it? I don't know if it's called Half Pipe or Hash Pipe, or was it Hash Pipe, but they had to call it Half Pipe or something for the UK. But no. What?
Hash Pipe, mate. I imagine you probably know that from like American Pie 2.
No, I know that from, it was same sort of time as when like the Mosher scene hit the UK. So you had like Alien Ant Farms and the Superior Weezer, like Wheatus and stuff with well, you know, Wheatus well better than Weezer. And there you go, David had it. David was a Wheatus fan. I'm wondering, what were your band called? Weetabix? Deezer?
Deezer. That's the music app.
I mean,
but yeah, this 12.3 million just to watch a concert in the game is absolutely mental. I did hear this is gonna sound stupid. Like, I've got Spotify open. I didn't think he was that popular, but what the fuck do I know? Clearly.
I mean,
what do I know?
I mean, can you name any Marshmello tracks?
No.
Yeah, I think we clearly are the wrong demographic. I mean, I'm not. I'm probably more in line with Marshmello being EDM. I don't mind a bit of EDM, some electronic dance music for all you old people like me. However, my issue with dance music is I often know the beat but not the track or the artist. So I'm like, oh yeah, and then get absolutely off my face when the beat drops. But yeah, I don't usually know who does the tracks. So I probably know some of Marshmello's tracks. I don't know Travis Scott. For like when it was first announced earlier in the week, I was like, what's Travis Scott? How do I know him? Is he the one that sang Millionaire with Bruno Mars? But no, that's Travis McCoy. So I clearly have no idea.
He's got 33 million monthly listens on Spotify, so clearly we're well out of the loop.
Anyway, coming up next on Back in My Day.
Weezer have 9 million, so that's a good shout.
Have a look at Wheatus, see what they have.
Wheatus. Here we go. Oh my god.
It's got to be like 1.
It's 2.2.
Ah.
That's surprising, to be fair.
I mean, it's all just Teenage Dirtbag on repeat. That's how it is.
A little respect as well. Obviously, that was a cover.
That was a horrible cover. That, to be fair. But I mean, it's I think any cover of that song is probably going to be a horrible cover. To be fair, it's a good song. Anyway, yes, 12 million. No, that is huge. I mean, whether we're ridiculously old or not, we are clearly, is not so much up for debate. But 12 million. my question is Travis Scott a 12 million audience kind of person, or is Travis Scott plus coronavirus 12 million audience? Not that it's a bad thing. He's got 12 million. It's undisputed. It's there. But would he have hit 12 million if Marshmello hit 10 million? And Marshmello was quite embedded into the Fortnite scene. He did the Fortnite Pro-Am with Ninja and everything. So, or is that it? Maybe Marshmello was embedded into the Fortnite scene, so he only brought in the Fortnite audience. Maybe Travis Scott wasn't as embedded, so he brought in an external audience and merged the two together, potentially.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I can't quite remember the number that Drake and Ninja did. I don't think the 12 million people was watching Ninja's channel when he was on Twitch, but I don't know what the player base was. That ended up getting brought in because of the Drake scene when he played a few matches with Ninja. So yeah, I do think celebrity endorsements like this, especially one that's big. I didn't realize it was that big, but 33 million just on Spotify says a lot. Babe, do you know who Travis Scott is? I'm just asking because he was in Fortnite and he did like 12 million people watched the concert. I didn't know who he was. Oh, that makes sense. He's got a kid with Kylie Jenner.
Oh, okay.
Right, okay, so that's a completely different demographic they're looking for, not fucking middle-aged men like us.
To answer your question, Ninja and Drake had 600,000 concurrent viewers. Although that was a completely different sort of thing. That was viewers on one stream. Whereas Fortnite is 12.3 million or whatever it was in concurrent players within. So yeah, it was. I
would like to have seen the player base spike as to when he actually played with Drake. Like, did like the next day or a couple of hours afterwards or the following week, did the player base go up because of that? Because it would have reached different areas of the world, or cult, pop, or fucking I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the word. Like, it would have gone across a million other demographics.
Yeah, I think that's potentially it. I mean, obviously, captive audience. Nobody can go anywhere. More people are playing video games. That's proven across the board. New content in video games where there's more people across the board is always going to increase that, and then new content plus a standalone event. And then add to that the multiplier of the fact that Travis Scott is bringing the Kardashian audience clearly and everything. So yeah, okay, maybe 12.3 million is legit in terms of, not when I say legit, clearly legit because they've tweeted it happened. Legit in terms of he could pull that audience, but yeah, I mean
that's very much like it was with us with the Star Wars stuff. I had no interest in playing Fortnite until the Star Wars stuff came in, and then I couldn't get off it.
And we've never been back since. No, we have a little bit. I jumped off a ramp. We have stream evidence of it happening. I got my Deadpool as well. Not been back since.
Camera's on. No, you can't see you there. No.
Yeah, we can.
He said you can, but you can't. He's taking the piss.
No, I can.
She thinks you're an oven.
That's not the first person that said that to me. Anyway, let's move on. Second news story of the day. Let's take that off the screen and put this one on. As Yin-Poole for Eurogamer says, DICE is to move on from Battlefield 5 after the summer update. The final push is the tagline. So DICE will be moving on from Battlefield 5 after a summer update. It's said the current Battlefield 5 chapter Into the Jungle wraps up on the 29th of April, and DICE will release one more standalone update targeted for June before moving on to focus on new projects. This summer update will include some new content, weapons and game tweaks, DICE said, but there will be no new chapter. In a tweet, DICE clarified that after this summer, Battlefield 5 will not receive any new maps, weapons or factions. And then, however, following the summer update, players will receive Battlefield currency or company coin as weekly rewards, which will give them a chance to unlock gear they may have missed. DICE also plans various community-focused events and activities, and it said it will continue to work on and cheat. Thank you all for joining this journey, and we look forward to sharing more with you this summer, senior producer Ryan MacArthur said in a blog post. Our Martin penned Eurogamer's Battlefield 5 review saying DICE Anyway, let's move forward. EA boss Andrew Wilson has said Battlefield 5 ultimately failed to meet sales expectations, blaming its month-long delay from October to November 2018, as well as the lack of a battle royale at launch. Battlefield 5 eventually did get a battle royale mode dubbed Firestorm, but it failed to make a significant impression on the battle royale landscape. Do you know what? There's some nice stuff in there, and there's some disappointing stuff in there. I mean, the nice bits for me are that in a really good move, when the game has kind of died, essentially, after the Battlefield final update this summer, the final push, as it says in the tagline, after that's happened, they're giving out Battlefield currency or company coins as weekly rewards, so that people will get to unlock gear that they've missed. Yes, the game will it will stop being supported in terms of new content, but that's a nice kind of way of doing it and saying if you don't want to pay for the content and enjoy it when it's fresh and it's new, we will give you the currency so that you can grind your way into just having it, unlocking it, playing through it, and forgetting it. I do like that move because that. I mean, we were talking about yesterday about how mobile is really good at pushing the landscape forward for getting people's money off them in a way that isn't just fleecing them. And DLC isn't fleecing anyone. You are paying for content. However, if you don't use the content and if other people don't have it and you don't get the match lobbies that you want with it and so on, DLC is problematic. So understandably, a lot of people won't pay for DLC. However, if you allow people to unlock it after the game is finished, then I really like that. I like that. That's a nice update. It's just a shame that the game wasn't the greatest when it started. There was that month-long delay that they talk about in there. For myself, going back to 2018, I mean, I was hugely into the PUBG hype. I mean, I still am now, but then, so I remember when Firestorm was coming and it was this hugely exciting thing. I remember the trailer as well. You see in tractors and this fire circle closing in. Oh my god! And then it just wasn't. It not only was it late, it wasn't exciting either. Which is a shame because if you had that no battle royale and then battle royale not particularly being great and then the whole game being launched a bit later than they wanted, all of that together will take the wind out of your sails, so you will struggle to get moving. And I think that's kind of the thing. Since I have played Battlefield 5 and I actually really like it, it's a really good game. But it damaged itself in terms of it's hard to get. I mean, what's the phrase? Rolling stone gathers no moss. If you can't get your stone rolling because of these issues at the beginning, then yeah. Oh no, that's even the wrong phrase. Rolling stone gathers no moss means it's the same sort of analogy works, but rolling stone gathers no moss means that yeah, nothing's going to fester on it. But yeah, it's hard to get it moving. It's not what the phrase means, but it does now. So yeah, it's a shame that they took so long to get moving because it could have been big for them, could have been huge for them, but.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I streamed this quite a bit, not that long ago actually. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, I very much play it like PTO. You got to play the objective. So if I'm an engineer, I'm going to keep on sorting my base out. If I'm a medic, I'm going to try and heal people. And it was evident in the game that a lot of people don't want to do that. So I imagine most people who wanted to do that get pissed off at the people who don't. I mean, this is all stuff that's going to hopefully bring a new lease of life to the franchise for the time being with new updates within the game, but obviously it's going to be the last big one, so if it doesn't particularly meet your needs, I mean, there's someone who I follow who we worked with previously called Wesley who seems to specialise in Battlefield, and I think the last update that went out didn't particularly agree with him and the way that he plays, and the changes that they made to some of the guns and the gameplay itself didn't particularly resonate with him and the fan base of Battlefield 5. So yeah, I mean, hopefully this will bring some nice little quality of life to the game in its last hurrah before what seems to be the new game, which will be coming out on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, Series X, Series X, Series X.
I think you pronounced that wrong. It's actually the Xbox Series SX, SSX tricky, SSX tricky X, Xbox box 1. You do 1. You do 1 X Series X series.
So yeah, it's hopefully it's gonna be a new lease of life for the franchise because I really like Battlefield. I much prefer it to the Call of Duty franchise because one, the maps are a lot bigger, the game modes are 40 minutes long, so you've got more than enough opportunity to be able to capture bases and things like that. It just suits my play style a lot more. So yeah, hopefully it'll go on to bigger and better things, and there will actually be a massive competitive uprising, shall we say, because I don't actually know if there's a Battlefield esports. Now, I know a lot of people don't want to talk about esports in games all the time because a lot of people say that it's actually ruined franchises, but I think it'll be absolutely dynamite to have 16-man teams on a stage going at it and then see it for 40 minutes. You know what I mean? In a high profile situation of winner takes all. I think that'll be absolutely awesome.
Just imagine 16-man esports teams after the organisation have taken their cut and after event costs and shuttling and hotels and everything, you end up the world champion taking on 48 quid. but I got this mint jersey.
If anyone's got the money, it's EA. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, them a Fortnite could do it and not even dent their pockets.
See, I don't know. Only because of the way you kind of framed that. We're talking, obviously, Bibby mentioned not a lot of people want esports or say that esports aren't necessarily great for video games. That's framed based on a conversation that we had earlier in the week. Actually, I'm going to pause there and just say good morning, Jenkins. I did see your messages, but we if I don't jump into the chat now, we'll be waffling for hours about esports. So, what's good, mother truckers? Join the hype train. Choo choo. Can you share a link to the shop which has the perm that Bibby is wearing at the moment?
No, because it is my own hair, which is kind of embarrassing. I keep on telling Samantha she needs to recut it again. Now it's getting beyond the joke.
Oh, I got confirmation that my clippers have been dispatched this morning.
Nice.
59 minutes ago, I got that email. It came at 10:03. I've gone for some wall super tapers, which are like the barber's choice of hair trimmers. A bit more expensive than I wanted to spend, but you know, soon I'm going to get rid of. I mean, Baby's looks like a perm. Mine just looks. I don't even know what you call that. It's just like some crazy. I mean, hat hair doesn't help, but still. Yes. Anyway, yeah. So what Baby was talking about esports there. That was a discussion. Was it yesterday or was it the day before?
The day before.
Yeah, and we were talking about how our ranked modes interfering with the natural progression of video games, and that. What game was that conversation based on? Was it Valorant or was it something else?
I can't remember.
Anyway, whatever game it was has. Oh no, Apex started that conversation. Apex has added some sort of rank mode, which I can't remember who it was in the chat has played a lot of Apex, and they feel that that's kind of changed the mindset of the people that play that game. So people are a lot more competitive, a bit more sweaty, and need to do more for the wins. And is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I mean, a competitive environment versus an easier environment. Which one is the way to go? And there is no right answer. Everyone's preferences are different. So with that in mind, do I want esports in Battlefield? I don't know because I enjoy. I've enjoyed all of EA's shooters to some extent. I didn't enjoy Star Wars Battlefront 2, which was a huge disappointment for me personally because I loved Star Wars Battlefront. That said, before the Rona fully kicked in, a lot of the ice cream team in the office were playing Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the lunch hours and watching Luke, Lewis, Jack all play through that. Makes me think, I need to give it a try, and I never did. I never went back to it. So maybe Battlefront 2 I probably would get something out of now. But playing Battlefield 5 a few months ago, so not even with all of this additional content, really enjoyed it. So would adding esports to that potentially ruin that? Possibly. But then again, I think part of the reason I like Battlefield is it's not Call of Duty. It's not that feeling of a contained 6 versus 6. It's not Valorant 5v5. It's not like in your face action all the time. Warzone, even though there's 150 people in it and you're in teams of 3, you always feel like you're shooting at someone. But it always feels like little contained pockets. It's 1 versus 1, and then you might get third partied, and that's it. Whereas Battlefield, you just kind of like you stick your head out of a trench and bullets could be coming from everywhere. So I kind of like that. So maybe that is the kind of game that the esports side of things potentially wouldn't rule it as much because it's so big. If you got 32 people in one map, then yeah, maybe that is something that could be esports friendly without losing as much of the nature of the core content that you would by just playing it as a casual match.
I just think there's so much more to it, purely because of how much you need to go down a particular way. So if everyone plays as, you know, an engineer or an assault or a medic or something like that, the medics would be running with the assault. The recon would be taking position and watching the assault and medics run into a trench to try and take it down. And then you'd have your engineer obviously looking after the trench, looking after the base that you've already had previously. I just think there's so many more elements to it. Over a 40 to 45-minute match with 32 players looking to take as many as they can. It doesn't matter if you lose one base, because there might be another 3 that you can go and capture, and you've got more than enough time to be able to do it. It's not just about having the best kill death in that game. It's all about pushing as a team to try and break down a base, hold it, capture it for as long as you can, and then move on to the next one. Whereas Call of Duty, to CS:GO or something like that, it's just eliminate or fuse or diffuse or something like that. I think there's so much more to play with in something like this. Now, fair enough, it would cost a lot to be able to run it, like you said, with having 32 players or 16 players on each team. That costs a lot, not just for the prize pool, but obviously to house them, to feed them, to, you know, get them to the event, to give up space to be able to have 32 PCs there ready for 2 teams to be able to go in and practice with each other.
Well,
the space cost would be unreal.
imagine, so for those of you that don't know, we are ice cream, obviously, and if I sit up, you can see Jelly. There we go. Jelly is the company that we work for. Well, when work exists and we're not in the world of the Rona, and we do esports events. But the last major event that we did anyway was the PES League World Finals just last season, and let's think of that, the solos of that, the solo World Finals, that whole competition and everything that went with just the solo side of things. That's one Battlefield team. That's 16 players right there.
And it wasn't, by any stretch of imagination, it wasn't a nightmare to host them or anything like that, but the cost to put on a tournament for 16 people was a lot. But no, and then you got technically, because you're not just going to have you're not going to have just 2 teams of 16, you're going to have way more than that.
At least 4, more likely 8 or 16. It's like,
so the costs are just going to be astronomical. However, I think from the outside looking in, as someone who appreciates Battlefield for what it is, as an esport, it would be fantastic to watch. Very much like if FIFA, for instance, was to do a pro clubs esport tournament where I've seen pictures of it where they've got a full-size football pitch and they've got desks on the positions where the players usually play. So as on FIFA, I play as a CDM, so mine would be in front of the back 4 but behind the centre attacking midfielder. So my desk would be there, and they just set up an 11-a-side pitch where they're just, you know, there's 22 consoles on an 11-a-side pitch with a stand at the right-hand side. Let me see if I can find the pitch because it looks amazing. FIFA esports.
While you're doing that, Drake, thank you very much for the host, the raid even, and that was the first time we've had to play the new ice cream truck alert. I told you I'd find one. I told you. I mean, it took me a few days to get there, but eventually I got there. I sat there the other night, like looking for ice cream jingles, and obviously there we go. So ice cream truck, yeah. Look at any army game. I did a 24-hour operation. I think it was like. I think I was in like 4 or 5 fights, 24 hours and 4 or 5 fights. The rest of the time was securing control. This was like 100 players all working together. It was like, oh, thanks mate. Yeah, it was already cutting on the internet. It was easy enough for me to put in. I can't take too much credit for it, but yeah, you know, we changed all of the sounds. So if anyone does a host now, we get. Thank you for the ice cream. Thank you for the ice cream. We'd gone for. A series of noises that were kind of similar to keep the style up, but it just kind of meant that they all kind of washed each other out. Another one that doesn't do the actual Stay Frosty, yeah. But thanks for the sub, babe. Danny Day 83 with another sub. It should have done this. There we go, Stay Frosty, yeah.
This is a test.
But without the test bit at the end.
Morning, Danielle. Morning, Farian. I completely. I've seen the text going and I've seen the raid. Like, I'm way behind here because I was too busy ranting about Battlefield esports.
Alpy with yeet. Have I got Alpy? I've got a sound effect just for you. It'll probably take about 6 weeks for my stream deck to load up, but. There we go. Got there eventually. Now it's awake. So Alpy says. Hey, there we go. Yeet. How are you all doing on emotes? We've got some. I mean, we're maxed out on our emotes. That's the kind of thing we need to get to our next emote target. So we have. Boop, that's our current selection. So yeah, it's more animation-y stuff. That's the kind of thing that I'm looking at next. So like, obviously, when we do get subs and stuff, we get a little bit popping up from the bottom. Something that's a bit more animated, and that's kind of what we're looking at as our next upgrade kind of point. But I have been kind of keeping you in mind. Look at that! See, that's why I've been keeping you in mind, because you've got the skills. Ooh, let me kill Slack. Anyway,
I've just sent you a picture on Discord. You need to see that shit.
Pause notifications. Get out of here.
Can you imagine that? I mean, I'm just trying to pad out a little bit of the white noise at the moment.
There we go. I can open that one full screen and keep you on there now. There we go. So that is it. So, and what was this from?
I think this is like a Pro Clubs tournament. Like a Pro Clubs esport.
Oh, that is badass. Is that so? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So okay. So that's the full 11 aside with with the casters in the bottom left corner and the interview bit towards the top right. That's pretty cool. I quite like that.
How sick is that? And then they've got the TVs above so the people in the stand can see.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
It's so good, isn't it? Like they're obviously playing a 4-4-2 diamond. They've got a holding midfielder, and they've got a centre attacking midfielder, 2 centre midfielders, and then 2 strikers by the looks of it.
See,
I'm missing someone.
I was like 4. I've got a 4, either a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3, 4-4-2 diamond or a 4-3-3 with a. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like Actually, you could be right because it looks like the centre forward's dropping back slightly.
Yeah. Anyway, let's
we are dissecting somebody else's esports team.
No, we're not even that. We're dissecting the formation of an esports event. That's what we're doing. Anyway,
little details matter, Graham. You know what I mean?
They do. Yeah, they do. Excuse me. So, for those of you that may have been late in, Battlefield 5 are having their final push, which is the tagline from this Eurogamer article, which is basically Battlefield has had a bunch of updates and it has one final update coming in the summer, and at that point they'll stop making new content. There won't be any new maps, weapons or factions following that, which then starts to lead on to the next question of when do we get Battlefield 6 announced, and is it going to be Battlefield 6 or is it going to be the Star Wars game? Are we going to be looking at, say, a Medal of Honor instead? If it's not going to be a Battlefront, EA/DICE obviously will have another title. They've not had a release this year. They've decided to hold off and concentrate on getting all of this final content out for Battlefield 5. But you've got to feel that something else will be coming. Or when I say this year, was that last year? Are we looking at this year, or are we missing this year now? Does coronavirus push that to next year? It's interesting. We don't have the landscape. You fully expect if we'd have had E3 this summer, i.e. a month and a week or a month and 2 weeks, whatever, away from now, we'd be getting, be it Star Wars, be it Medal of Honor, be it Battlefield, whatever it is, we'd have all of that stuff there. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Ben?
I remember seeing something not long ago from PlayStation where they were showing 6 possible launch games. It was either PlayStation or IGN, I can't remember. It must have been IGN because PlayStation wouldn't say, what games is it that you want to see PlayStation launch?
Good, because we're not bringing them!
Yeah. So it was like GTA 6, it was there was a new NAC, so it was like NAC 3. But there was one, it was called Battlefield 6. Now, I will show my ass on stream and get this account banned if a new Medal of Honor game comes out, because it'll never happen. They'll never revisit the Medal of Honor franchise for as long as...
Just to clarify, Bibby won't actually show his ass on stream terms of service. We don't want to get banned, but you know, there's ways.
Okay, I will show it you on Twitter or something. But yeah, it's the likelihood that Medal of Honor will ever arrive on consoles or on PC again is very slim. The last 2 that they shipped out didn't do well commercially or critically. So I don't think that'll be ever see the light of day again. A Battlefield 6 would probably be your best bet. I can't see them revisiting the World Wars anytime soon because they've pretty much just done that. So yeah, I think Battlefield 6 potentially going in a new direction, maybe going the Modern Warfare route.
Finally.
Or returning to a Battlefield Bad Company. Company 3.
That's what I was going to jump onto then. We've had mentions in the chat of a new Battlefield 2142, or as Fatman Dave says, 2143. Good shout. Yeah, I've seen a lot of comments of Battlefield Bad Companies in the past, and like BFBC 3 would be decent. Battlefield Bad Company 2 is one of my all-time favourite shooters ever. I mean, it's either that or say like Modern Warfare or Modern Warfare 2, that sort of era. I mean, I also like COD World at War, although that instantly gets put to the last out of those for me, because it was World War stuff, like World War 1, World War 2, which is nice, but I like current day Modern Warfare, which is exactly what Modern Warfare 2 and Battlefield Bad Company 2 is, current day stuff. So yeah, go back to that. That's where I want to be. I don't want space fights. I don't want aperture sights because I've got no red dots and holographics and night vision goggles. Give me something modern that's now but well balanced, and I'll take that all day.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I do like going back and revisiting older scenarios that like a new spin on an old scenario. They're usually good, but yeah, I think a new Battlefield Bad Company would definitely be on my street. It wasn't long ago actually. Me and Alpy was actually streaming Battlefield Bad Company 2. We was playing that probably solid for a month or so. Yeah, absolutely. That's probably my favourite first-person war shooter of all time, and for me it pips Modern Warfare 2. I need to go for 1 second because I think the solicitor's phoning me. 1 second.
No worries, I can pad. World at War was very graphic. Why not bring Treyarch's gritty self into games again? I mean, the best thing about World at War was, well, it wasn't the best thing at all. It was two really mediocre things that just, you know, when you got something that lives on in your memory. I remember I worked in a different business, but my workmate Callum also massively into COD, and he was like, "Oh, do you know you can get all of your stats online?" And it was basically the Call of Duty forums at that point in time allowed you massive in-depth detail, which I don't think is available anymore. If you linked your Xbox account and your PS account and so on, solicitor / anal bead salesman. That's what Baby's doing right now. Yeah, but back then you could go on and you could go, okay, this is my profile. I've played this many games. I've had this many kills. I've had this many deaths. I've played for this many minutes. I've had this many kills with this specific weapon, and it would always tell you exactly what you were on with each individual weapon on each individual map, and it was amazing. And I thought I was half decent at it, and then I realised that my best weapon that I had the most kills with was the bouncing Betty, which is basically like fucking claymores. I killed more people with claymores by not being there than I did actually killing people with guns. So yeah, GG, great. nice. So yeah, that's why I like World at War. Little naff things like that. And that was the first one that had the dogs, release the dogs when you get to like 7 kills, and the dogs of war just like enter the map and start ripping people to bits. Yeah, World at War will always live on. Not so much in Danny Day 83 who subbed. No, it's not even on the sub events list. About 10 minutes ago now, ish. Because that was when I'd first met her, and like I was playing it while she was sleeping in the room, so she kind of like had the release the dogs like Russian accent thing playing on her mind. It kind of like burned into her psyche for a long period after that. Anyway, Battlefield Civil War. Okay, I'll take that. Actually, are we talking like some sort of current Civil War, or are we talking like the American Civil War, or what? What do we think? I mean, American Civil War would be further back than World War 1 and World War 2 for me. I'll see. That would lose me because imagine being in a fight. imagine being in a fight. I mean, World War 1, and you've got yourself a bolt action, not even sniper, but a bolt action rifle, and you go bang, clink, bang. Go back to the American Civil War. It's like bang. Turn your gun upside down, put the pellets or whatever in, and the gunpowder, get your stick out, fill it up, and then back up. You'd have been shot by 6 different people by that time. No. Hardline follow-up would be better. I know that's how sequels usually work. Facts. I never played Hardline. Was it any good? I've never heard. I've not heard anything negative about Battlefield Hardline. But I've also not heard anything positive about it. And when you work in and around video games and play a lot of shooter games, if you've not heard something really good about something, it usually means it's not worth saying anything about. So, is it good? Why not rehash Bad Company like they did with COD 4? See, I'd love that. I mean, a lot of what I liked about Bad Company is available in most modern games now. So Bad Company was the first game to like add in, well, from EA's side of things. So we were playing like the CODs and whatever at that point in time. But Battlefield Bad Company had the ability to spot using the options button on the controller. Or settings button or whatever it was. The select button. That's the one. So you're looking at someone, hit select, and a blip, little triangle appears above the head, so you can spot them for your teammates. And if you've got a sniper in your team, amazing. Yeah, the full destruction. What was that? Frostbite engine. Was it Frostbite engine? The first one, full destructible surroundings, where you kind of like, you had the building, you blow out all of the outside walls, and then you're left with the inner kind of like walls that hold up the building. You take all of those out, and then it was like Destruction 2.0 or something like that. Yeah, amazing. Loved it. That gave you a reason to use C4. If you had like a 5-story building, you got a sniper sat at the top of it. You don't just have to go up the stairs or try snipe them out of it. It's like, okay, you stay up there, mate. Yeah, boom, 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 and then do. And then if you're at the top of the sniper, you've got, okay, well, I can sit here and take a few people out. I know I've got about 6 walls to go, and then you hear that final one go. It's like, boom, straight out. We've lost Bib. Let's get rid of him. He's out of here. Let's go back to me. Keep Bib small at the side until he comes back. Yeah, that was it. So if you're at the sniper at the top, you keep your shots at people. You know you don't have to leave, but you know that the longer that they take the walls out, the more chance you have of being caught in the destruction. Or when there's one wall left, if they put the C4 on that wall, take that wall out, and you jump off at that point in time, they're going to know exactly when you've left, so they're going to be looking for you. So yeah, really good. It added a bit of a different dimension to the game. I enjoyed that kind of stuff. I didn't. I mean, I used to play the Battlefield, so like Battlefield 2, 3-ish. Which one was that? Was it Battlefield 3 that had Levolution, where you had full skyscrapers could be taken out and things like that? I didn't really play much of that. But yeah, maybe that's too much. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I like the idea that you can tweak environments as you go, but the full Levolution stuff, I'm not so sure on that one. But then again, I didn't really play it that much, so maybe you've got more input. I mean, I would like to see some Destruction 2.0. Let's get Destruction 3.0 in the next Battlefield game. Let's have that. That's what I want to see. Anyway, speaking about what we want to see, let's move on, seeing as Bibby's on with his anal bead salesman. Solicitor. He'll tell you he's a solicitor. It's an anal bead salesman. It's fine. Jump into our next bit of news. And talking about things that you want to see, this article by Sherif Saed for VG247 says, Microsoft knows you want to see Xbox Series X games, and it'll soon deliver. So Microsoft is getting ready to reveal Xbox Series X games. Despite the exciting hardware upgrades Xbox Series X will bring to console gaming, we've learned very little about how games plan to utilize that power. Microsoft has been regularly revealing new details about the hardware, but the same can't be said for the games that will run on it. In a reply to a fan on Twitter, head of Xbox Phil Spencer acknowledged the desire for people to see next-gen games and confirmed that fans won't have to wait too much longer. Reviewed plans yesterday for continued sharing through launch. Team is doing great work and adapting, Spencer told a Twitter follower. I've never been more excited about Xbox plans. We've heard you want transparency/authenticity, and we plan to keep showing that way. Next step is not too much of a wait, brackets games, he added. This obviously doesn't tell us when we can expect these reveals, but we're getting close at least. It was recently reported that Microsoft could be hosting a May event to show off games and reveal the long-rumoured Xbox Lockhart. Indeed, reports around the industry indicate that the cancellation of E3 will enable some publishers to show their hand ahead of the usual June spot, and some of these reveals could very well be made as part of platform holder events from Microsoft and Sony. Interesting. Jump back through the chat. The original Bad Company for the Xbox is the only Battlefield game I didn't like, but that could be because I'd never played Battlefield on console before. It was amazing. The campaign was brilliant. I can't remember. I actually can't remember. I can't remember any Battlefield campaign. Just gonna mute myself while I blow my nose. Bear with it. I don't have baby to pad, so you'll just have to bear with it once. And we're back. I don't remember. Who's trying to call me on Discord? Streamer mode enabled. That's why. Hey, he's back.
Hello.
How was the anal bead salesman?
Yes, he was fantastic. He's got me a very good deal.
Nice. Is it like a 6-pop, or are you going for the Bibby record of 27 beads in one?
I'm going for a higher record, mate. I'm going for 35.
The reference for that is Albie says solicitor / anal bead salesman in the chat.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're throwing a free house in, then yeah, dead right.
Kamehame. Sup, fellas? How you doing? Happy Friday.
Hello.
Let's go back to the split screen. So we wrapped up a little bit talking about Battlefields and Destruction 2.0 in the old Battlefield games, which is why that discussing now is still on screen. Get rid of that. But then we moved on to talking about Levolution and things like that, and things that we'd like to see in games, which then nicely led on to Xbox knows that we would like to see some of their games, and Phil Spencer has tweeted saying they've reviewed their plans for continued sharing through their launch, and team is doing great work and adapting. I've never been more excited about Xbox plans. We've heard you want transparency and authenticity. We plan to keep showing that way, and the next step is not too much of a way, in brackets, games. So the article written by Sherif says a lot of games industry decision makers have their decisions made for them, and that is by calendars and timelines. Your decision is based on it has to be at E3 because that's where it's going to be. That's where all the eyes are. That's where the impact's going to be made. But that decision has not been made for them. It's been taken away. So there's a where is it? Where was the actual? There we are. Indeed, reports around the industry indicate that the cancellation of E3 will enable some publishers to show their hand ahead of the usual June spot, which is quite exciting because we are in the last week of April, and if they're going to show their hand before the usual June spot, then it's got to be in May. So in the next 4 weeks, we could start to get some exciting news. It's been a bit quiet, particularly for the last 2 weeks. It started, obviously, COVID will have its impacts, but it started to drop off in terms of video games news. Not much is happening because of the slowdown and because of normal release windows are quiet at this point anyway. But nobody has to wait until June the 6th or whenever E3 was going to be for that specific date to start talking about it. Now they can go, okay, well, if everyone's going to start going June the 6th, why don't we go on May the 20th? And then someone else go, actually, most people are going for May the 20th. How about we go for May the 10th or whatever? So we could start getting news at any point in time, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be, we've said it a few times, but it's going to be the most exciting year in video games. Maybe not in the case of games being delayed left, right, and centre, but the excitement level building towards a new console generation is always an exciting one.
Xbox bringing games. DETAILS. It's so slow typing text into the text overlay. So a little bit of knowledge. The way that this works, discussing now, comes up on screen. Basically, we have two parts. We have text, which disappears, and then we have the slate, which I can disappear. So they both go together as one overlay. Job's good, which allows me the free typing text. But anyway, free typing text into Streamlabs is the slowest thing in the world. Just go like a typewriter. Yeah, it'd be bizarre though if you think of it. I mean, I know Sony don't have to rush. There is no rush for anyone. But for Sony to announce their console first, and then Xbox to announce and then show theirs, and then start talking a bit more, and then to announce all of their games before we see the console that Sony has announced first, will just be bizarre. I wouldn't have ever called that. Because Sony went first with that Wired article, I thought, oh well, that's it. Clearly they are on the money. They know what they're doing. They're talking hardware and tech. They're talking about using ray tracing. They're talking about SSDs. I mean, that sort of stuff that you have to have plumbed in and working properly if you want to be using it. So I'm thinking, that's it. Sony have the signs. Maybe they take this generation because they're so confident by going with details so early. That maybe that's it. But then we've had drip feeding from then. It seems weird, and I don't know whether that's impacted because of COVID or whether this was their game plan all along, or whether it wasn't their game plan but COVID has impacted things and they've just gone to the point of, actually, we don't have to say anything. We don't have to rush now. Maybe we could just sit back and wait, and we'll see what Xbox say, and then we will just do whatever afterwards. Because it worked for them before going afterward. But yeah, I would have expected more by now. I mean, it's not alarming. It's just an odd feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to weigh up in my head when I think that we would see some Sony news now, because everything that we know is out of the window. I would have been, well, it's going to be, they will have either a PSX or a state of play, or if it is a state of play, it will be a more interactive state of play around E3 or before E3 to just kind of like take some of the gloss or something like that. That's what I would have seen. Or maybe after E3 so they can react to whatever Xbox has done. They'll plan it all in and they get all their assets made and they'll do it the week after. Or at the end of the same week. Obviously, E3 is usually like the Monday and Tuesday you get all the conferences, or Sunday, Monday. So maybe they go, okay, well, we will go for Thursday, Friday, or we'll do the weekend after, or whatever. And that way they can get all their assets in, and then they can just change the messaging, which they famously did, or we assume they famously did, when Microsoft said, well, the Xbox is only $299 or whatever price it was. And then Sony clearly went into their PowerPoint and changed their like $329 or whatever to $279. So yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's $279. It's cheaper. That's it. That one little tweak in a PowerPoint wins E3 for a brand. So yeah, but that would give us a date to work on. They're either going to go before and steal the thunder, or afterwards and react to the messaging at E3. But with no E3, no idea when. No idea when.
It's gonna be May, I think.
I post that every year, just like everyone else does on the internet, on the very, very last day of April. What's it going to be tomorrow? Justin Timberlake meme. It's gonna be May.
I think it's going to be next month.
What, May? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Something that probably won't happen next month, though, as we jump into our next news article, is WWE 2K21, which won't happen this year at all. We've spoken about this previously before on the show, but let's jump into this article written by Shaun Prescott for PC Gamer, who says, though there may be another wrestling game outside of the series, and the article says 2K Games has released a WWE game every year since 2011, but that consistent streak is coming to an end. WWE CFO Frank Riddick announced as much today during an investors call, stating that no video game based on the brand will release in 2020. And I've only just looked at that image. What the feck is that? Riddick didn't provide any explicit reason for this, though the disastrous WWE 2K20 probably didn't do the series any favours. The game was notoriously broken at launch, with incredible and traumatising results. That WWE 2K21 won't happen has been rumoured for a while. Former writer on the series, Justin Leeper, said in a video earlier this month that he was confident the game had been cancelled. Interestingly, Leeper also said that a different style of WWE game may be published by 2K in 2020, a palate cleanser, though Riddick's statement seems to rule out that possibility. According to Leeper, in the same video, WWE 2K22 hasn't been cancelled, and there's every possibility that WWE 2K20 devs' visual concepts just needs more time to learn the ropes of developing wrestling games, as last year's game demonstrates. And that's the end of the article. So, basically just a reconfirmation, something that we've gone over before. WWE 2K20 is an abomination, as you can see from that image in the article. I don't even... What is it? Is she supposed...
Yeah, she's meant to be wearing a mask and a cape.
Okay.
But the mask is obviously meant to cover her face, so there's no need to render the face underneath. But because the mask is floating, it just her head's fucked, basically.
It basically looks like it's either floating eyes or it's cousin It from the Addams Family. But with eyes as opposed to glasses. And then above it is the head of the snake from the Harry Potter films, Nagini, just floating away there. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Anyway, so WWE 2K20 is not a very great game. WWE 2K21 isn't going to happen. The original rumour was that there will be a palate cleanser game, and that's where we started talking about maybe rehashing some of the mobile games or doing some of the more arcade style games that they have done previously. I mean, I said we did that. Basically, we all sat and watched Bibby do like an hour-long presentation on all of the games that he has in his library. You know, it's what it is. So yeah, 2K20 22 even could potentially happen, but yeah, all remains up in the air. Nothing much to say there other than the rumour has been confirmed. No WWE 2K2021. And then finally, we have something that we also have covered on the show before a few times, and every single time we've kind of been like, and we have another little bit of news. But because we've been talking about events happening in May and things coming, obviously May is just before June, so nobody has to stick to the E3 window. They can go a bit earlier. It makes sense to bring this back up again because it's once again doing the rounds. This is a tweet from Josh Gaming Channel, and it says, prominent leaker hints that Silent Hill reboot trailer will premiere in May. PS5 eyes emoji. Definitely keeping an eye on this one. I know the eyes emoji kind of implied that, mate. But the image that he's taken says, no way. Silent Hill. This is that one good hunter said, and I believe this was on Reset Area. I could be wrong because I haven't fully delved into it. You know, rumors and leaks aren't worth that much time. But it says no way Silent Hill gets a standalone reveal trailer outside of the PS5 event. So does this mean? And then Catharsis T responds with maybe, but with. I've noticed there. I mean, look at that. Look at the hint. It's MAY in capitals. In short, maybe. So anyway, the rumor there is that Silent Hill, obviously, reboot trailer could be coming in May. Interesting. I mean, if anyone's in the chat, please feel free to add in your comments. We've had this a few times with a number of different people, including the likes of Mr. Tassim Anvia, noted industry insider. That's Tassim Tanvir that works for Zynga Mobile, but he's previously in a former life worked with Konami, and he says from his opinion, and he's not talking from anything from the inside because he's not been involved with this, but from his opinion, he doesn't see this as likely. We'd probably say the same sort of thing, but yeah. One thing to mention though, I mean, which actually contrasts to what Jordan says in the chat. Enix, good morning, says, Lel, this leaker has been proved wrong multiple times. And then in the actual tweets we have, for the record, this Reset Era user is verified and has been collaborated on a lot of leaks with another extremely reliable leaker, Aesthetic Gaming. Catharsis T also states that Keiichiro Tayama, creator of the Silent Hill and Siren games, Masahiro Ito, the former Silent Hill 1 to 3 artistic director, and Akira Yamaoka, the musical composer for Silent Hill 1 Shattered Memories, are involved and can't wait to show what they have in store. So there we go. Take with a pinch. But
yeah, it's always the case with these rumours, isn't it? I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Jordan was listing us to someone who's a well-known leaker in there, and you know what? It is video game news. It's rumours at the end of the day. Until it officially gets, we say it every single year when it comes down to transfer deadline. Until they're sat on the opposite side of the desk with a pen in the hand and the contract signing, we're holding a shirt inside the stadium. Then you don't believe the truth. You don't believe Sorry, you don't believe the rumors that go around until you officially see that shit. It's the same with video games. Until someone comes out and the official accounts are talking about it, you have to take absolutely everything with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, absolutely. Updating more Silent Hill rumours on the discussing now. That's the thing. I mean, just looking in the comments as well, one of the responses to this says the original creator currently works at Sony Japan and was recently posting pictures of Konami and a Silent Hill headstone. I mean, and I mean,
Yeah.
I used to work in Huddersfield Town football stadium, and I occasionally post pictures of Huddersfield related things. Doesn't mean that I'm going to quit my job working as one of Ice Cream Upload's most electrifying presenters and go back to work for Huddersfield Town. It doesn't work that way. I mean, you have history. Just because you've posted a picture of something that you spent a lot of your time working on has been hugely successful and you're proud of, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going back to it. I mean, doesn't mean that it isn't either. But yeah, just because it has happened doesn't mean that it means something else. A doesn't equal B. A equals A and could lead to B, but yeah, A isn't B. It 100% would be multi-platform. Unfortunately, these rumours are causing some serious beef and ammo for fanboys in total. Look at Chris, who I know, getting on the firing line for having an opinion, because he worked on Killzone 2, his name went through the tatters and headlines, twisting what he said. Who? Have I missed that? Drop us a link or something so we know. Until videos and actual hardware showing games are shown, best reserve in judgment what each company will do. And that's it. That's absolutely it. I think it's more interesting to have a look at the state of what Bibby was talking more like the football realms. And I've mentioned ITK accounts, like in the know accounts. It's more interesting to see the in the know accounts becoming more and more prominent. We've always had industry insiders and leakers in video games, but it's almost like it's becoming its own subcategory of the industry. And is that a COVID related thing? People have got more time on their hands. I don't know, but there seems to be more focus on reputable leakers than we've had in any year that I can remember going forward. So yeah,
it's a case of people are just going to say, I think we've covered stuff like this before. People are going to say 50 things that are going to be coming out, but then when one gets proved right, they'll delete the other 49, so it makes it look like that outcome was the one that they talked about originally. It's the same every single year. I mean, if people are throwing death threats around because someone has an opinion, then do you know what I mean? I don't want to say you need to probably close your mouth a little bit if you're in a position where where everything that you say is going to be taken as gospel. Then you need to be careful of what it is that you're going to be saying. It's sending death threats to someone. It's fucking awful. But to have an opinion about a game and get a death threat, that's again fucking awful.
Yeah, absolutely. Have an opinion about anything and get a death threat is awful. Even if your opinion is, in someone else's opinion, awful, you shouldn't get a death threat for it. That's your opinion. You're entitled to have the most lovely and the most sick opinions in the world. That's your opinions. So yeah,
the issue comes from when people think that they're actually right when it's seriously like it's not an opinion. They're stating their opinion as a fact. That's not a fact. Just because you're saying it more than once doesn't mean that it's a fact. When you're disregarding anything that is a fact, I mean, fucking hell, you had the president yesterday of the United States telling people to battle against corona, you need to inject yourself with like toilet duck or some sort of bleach or something like that. How fucking stupid can you be? He's using a shitty remark as a real life solution to one of the world's biggest pandemics to ever grace this universe.
Wait. So we shouldn't have. Back in a minute. I'm just going to go and just.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's dumb. The world is dumb. I've said it a million times on this podcast. People are fucking stupid. The majority, the people who are knowledgeable, who take everything and use common sense, is unfortunately becoming a very small minority rather than the majority. You've seen people demonstrating because to be fair, most of this comes from the Americans. You've got people demonstrating to get back to work because they think that this is just a whitewash and a side thing. The virus has been there forever, and we need to get back to work. We need to get back to living. The virus will sort it back. Jesus will save us. That kind of shit. That isn't the way. Do you know what I mean? It's a real thing. Look at any kind of news article. Look into don't go into your local hospital, because you probably will catch it there at this moment in time. But it's one of these things where people have a stupid fucking thought, and the stupid fucking people join that bandwagon, and then it just ends up a massive cult of stupid fucking people demonstrating and making themselves look like idiots on social media. And unfortunately, it seems to be more and more people aren't using common sense nowadays, and instead want to be right, rather than looking at both sides of the coin.
Just want to confirm as well, Americans, don't worry, Bibby will offend any nation. It's not just you, it's
Absolutely.
fine.
Well, it is mostly you lot, but yeah, it's just, the thing is, it mostly is that, like, because it's like one of the biggest countries in the world. Do you know what I mean? So due to the sheer population size, it's going to be astronomical numbers compared to us.
Not only that, it's an economically developed country as well that has free income and therefore free time and more cameras. So are you more stupid, or are you just more stupid in a visual situation? And that's all it is.
Yeah, that it literally is. Though you see that video of the bloke, the nurse who was stood on a zebra crossing trying to stop people from picketing, and you had that woman who was saying, like, Free America, who's slapping it on the front of a car, just giving them shit for not moving because she needed to go shopping or go back to work or something. They was protesting to get the... In fact, we showing it on air the other day. Them people stood outside the mayor's office trying
that's
to...
Shaun of the Dead.
The Shaun of the Dead thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, the world is falling to shit, and it's due to stupid fucking people.
Where are we? So Americans say they rang their Trump supporter friends and worried they would actually do it. To be fair, I mean, that's probably not just exclusive to Americans. I could say that with a lot of Boris Johnson supporters in the UK. But there we go. A fact today is determined by who can shout the loudest the most often. Exactly. That's it. Most people don't have facts. It is a fact because I saw it on Twitter. Mate. Yeah, but it is a fact because it was written on Wikipedia. Mate, Wikipedia. What? UV block lotions work against 5G waves. It's proven. I have a compilation of people being stupid. Look at my comment above. Best comment I said was, it's not injecting, that's the hard part. It's shoving a UV light bulb up my ass to get light in my body. I mean, I'm no comment on doing that. I wouldn't know. But I want to roll back up as well. Say, good morning, Lily. Good morning. How the devil are you, sir? Who's this new guy? Where's Bibby? That's kind of like this. We thought that Bibby's hair game wasn't on point, so we just thought, do you know what? We just need a bit more volume because Bibby's got the volume, but we needed a bit more volume. Can I say volume a few more times? Volume.
Yeah, but you're saying it in two different ways, so we kind of know what you're saying. You got the volume, but he's got the volume.
Yeah, exactly. Volume. Anyway, a link that I did have in the chat from Enix about his mate Chris. So to give a bit of context to that, because none of us really knew what he was talking about. This is it. Former Sony developer warns PS5 may struggle running big open world games. Written by Tyler Fisher for comicbook.com. It says the PS5 may have the superior SSD, but the Xbox Series X is packing more power than the new PlayStation console, and this lack of power may come back to haunt Sony. Speaking during a podcast, ex-Sony game designer Chris Granell, who worked on series like Killzone and Wipeout, noted that he thinks the difference in compute units between the PS5 and Xbox Series X is pretty huge. Further, Granell states that he thinks the PS5 could struggle running big third-party open-world games. The big difference really is the amount of compute units that's pretty huge when you start to look at any-time ray tracing, real-time ray tracing and things like that, said Granell while speaking to RDX via This Gen Gaming. Where PS5 is potentially going to struggle is some of these big third-party games like open-world games. Granell continued talking about ray tracing, one of the flashy selling points for both the PS5 and Xbox Series X. There's only one next-gen console that will be able to do real-time ray tracing, said Granell. That's a bit of a controversy.
Yeah, is this not like similar to what we had in the news the other day where that guy got sacked?
Yeah, he was the other way though. He was saying basically the PS5 is easier to code for, and he was saying the PS5 infrastructure is better to fully utilize all of the power, whereas the Xbox Series X could only work if the stars align. Basically, is what he was saying. Whereas this one says. Granell continued talking about ray tracing. One of the flashy selling points got both the PS5 and Xbox Series X. That's supposed to be 4, but autocorrect, what are you going to do? There's only one next-gen console that will be able to do real-time ray tracing, said Granell. That's a bit of a controversial statement, but Cherney skipped over it and didn't talk about it. It comes down to CUs, consistency, what's on the hardware. As you would expect, Granell's take quickly circulated around PlayStation and Xbox corners of the internet, which prompted the developer to issue a bit of clarification. Taking to Twitter, the ex-Sony developer noted that he doesn't think the PS5 won't be able to run these big open-world games, but rather developers may have to make compromises in order to get them to run up to snuff. Of course, while Granell has plenty of experience in game development, everything here should be taken with a grain of salt. While Granell has more insight than most when it comes to topics like this, until we see games actually running on both consoles, it's hard to predict how many games will and won't run on both next-gen systems. The PS5 is slated to release sometime this holiday season. At the moment of publishing, there's been no official word on precise release date or price point. Blah, blah, blah.
I mean, this all comes down to, if you're going on to very much like what we do on here, there's very few times that I'll say something just to annoy another set of people. Mainly I say stuff to annoy Jordan because I know that he likes to annoy me as well. But I mean, if you're going onto a podcast to give your opinion, fair enough. You know full well some bits, if you are a high profile person that's been in the industry for such a long time, it will get taken out of context. So I don't know how you would combat that, but everything that you say, if you're in a high profile position, will get taken and get construed some way. Do you know what I mean? So it's very difficult to be able to give an opinion on something when you know full well that it will either get taken one way or the other. It's very rare that it gets taken straight down the line. So it's awful that you need to fight your own corner on stuff like this when you need to put the context of around what you're saying, around the point that's been you're being attacked with. It's very difficult, but it's getting to a point now where if you are in a high profile position, you just don't say anything, and that's not just for an easy life. That's just because you are going to get shit thrown at you from one side, and then someone from the other side is going to defend you, very much like Jordan said that he's had 9 death threats because he's been defending him, because he's put the whole context around it. People don't want to see the context. They only want to see and believe what they want to believe. You are never going to change opinions of certain people because I don't know whether it's because they don't have the fucking brain capacity to be able to do and listen to a full argument and then take from that what they will, or they'll just listen to the full argument and still take one chunk of it. It's very rare that you'll have a debate with someone who'll listen to both sides and then make their mind up about that. It's either one side or the other. Very much like what it's like in politics now. You go into you watch any kind of politics, you'll have one side fighting for one thing, one for the other. You'll never have someone subjecting in the middle saying, actually, they've got a very good point, they've got a very good point, let's just work on those things rather than my side's better than yours. It's the way of the world. It's the way that it'll always be. I don't know why. I don't know if it's always been like this, or it's just since the social media gave everybody an opinion. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
It didn't give everyone opinions. It gave everyone facts. Facts, because I say so. I mean,
journalists changed over the years, though, hasn't it? Like, usually, I don't want to say journalists used to always give the facts, because you've got things like the Daily Star and the Daily Mail and News of the World who have been in trouble for not writing about facts and just looking for headlines, unfortunately. But I feel 20 or 30 years ago, journalists was looking for the facts and building a story around that rather than building a story off rumours. It seems completely different now than when it used to be, and unfortunately this is the world that we live in now. If you can find something very small and then build something around it, then your chances are your headline's probably going to be bigger than if it was just straight down the middle and it was the truth. That's just the way of the world. That's what it is. You can't find anything that's impartial. If you do, then you need to keep them news sources close to you, but it's very difficult to find an impartial bit of news anymore.
Yeah, it is difficult. I mean, there's a couple of things for that. I'm finally using my media degree again. One of them was the dying print industry. You need to sell, so make clickbait headlines, even though it's a newspaper. It's not clickbait when you can't click it, but the point still stands. Make attractive headlines. You'll sell more copies. You need it when the industry's dying. Fine, boom. Okay, the internet. Okay, let's all move the news online. But there's a lot more availability. Not everyone can print and circulate a newspaper, but everyone could make a blog. So now we have to keep the clickbait headlines to make sure that those clicks are coming our way, not everyone else's way. So that, yeah, basically the world has developed into the news isn't as legitimate as it would have been in a former life. journalistic integrity definitely has a much lower threshold for people going, yeah, that'll do. We'll put that story out. It happens so often, but yeah. I mean, let's go back to the facts, though. I mean, there is one fact, and it wasn't a fact at first because I didn't like it, but fact, that is a really nice controller. The more I see it, the more I like it. So, yeah, there we go. PlayStation wins. That's it. Conversation done. Boom! No. We're joking. Let's go back up through the chat. Illusion XY says, I have a compilation of people being stupid, and then posts a Google link. Not clicking that link.
Don't click it. Do not click it. Never click anything that gets posted in here.
I mean, a lot of them are decent, but a google.com, that's a search link. Nope.
That's going to a YouTube video, that.
Oh, yeah, youtube.com/watch. Yeah, that is a YouTube video. It does say a compilation though. Do you know what? I'm not going to click it. Look at my comment above. To be fair, the people that think this virus is not real, I say let them gather, then quarantine them together. It's all about emotions and how things make you feel rather than facts and evidence. This can also explain the past 5 years in politics worldwide. Exactly. Mm-hmm. More is always better doesn't apply here. What does that... the chat's moved on quite a bit then, so I don't know the reference to that one, Lily. Shows the terrible journalism, completely fake what he said. Chris hasn't been in the industry for 7 years. He was just on a podcast to give an opinion, but everyone took it as gospel to use it as ammo. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is the way it is, isn't it? Well, we have opinions. We've got our own podcast for it. People can take it however they want, but I will always be able to go back and say, actually, this isn't what I said. This is actually what I said. Make of that what you will. It's if you are in a position of power and people hang on to your every word, you've got to be careful what you say.
And it was... Who was it? Was it the Xbox lead or someone not too long ago was saying, we would like to chat more open and freely, but we can't because we have to be PR friendly. We know that if we say something, people are going to twist the words and take it in different ways and read between the lines rather than just listen to what I'm saying. 2 and 2 makes 5 in a lot of cases. And this Chris Granell... gives an opinion on a podcast, and it even says here, worked on series like Killzone and Wipeout. I mean, that would instantly... I don't know Chris Granell, and I only know he's not worked in the industry for 7 years now because Jordan said it. I wouldn't have known that, but I would have said Killzone and Wipeout. And when were the last Killzone and Wipeout games released? Were they on this gen? If they were...
We did have was it Wipeout Omega or something like that came out, but we haven't. I don't think we've had a Killzone on PS4.
So I would have instantly thought, well, he's not been fully working in the PS4 generation, and not only that, even Mark Cherney's conference that was put out was basically saying, like he said, Mark Cherney skipped over parts about talking about compute units. Mark Cherney skipped over a lot of stuff because it was complex and ridiculous for someone even like me who's got a decent level of technical understanding. I was lost for a lot of it. But I would look at that and say, okay, this person maybe hasn't done anything major for this generation. If he's worked on Killzone and Wipeout, I would say that's the last generation, not this generation. And then within this conference, Mark Chen is saying there is a learning period to get used to the next generation. So if he's not been working on this generation, does he have access to dev kits for the PS5? Does he even know how to fully dev for the PS4? I'm not saying he does or he doesn't. I don't know. These are my questions that I would have gone over in my mind. How do I know he can do stuff now? Because nothing on there says he has done stuff on the PS4, to me specifically. And does he have access to a PS5 dev kit? Because he's done something in the past doesn't necessarily mean that he could do stuff in the future. I mean, I used to have a Nokia 5110. Doesn't mean I know what their next release is going to be. I know how to play Snake on a 2-button keyboard kind of thing. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to trash their next mobile video game or whatever. It's I mean, shit analogies. I know completely, but the point still stands, is yes, he's done stuff in the past, doesn't mean he knows in the future. And like Jordan says, if this was just taken from a podcast, then it absolutely doesn't quantify it as this is a see-all and end-all statement. This is my opinion on what I know. So just like that, my opinion on what I know is that he's worked on Killzone Wipeout. There's nothing that says that he's worked on a massive open-world game for PS4. So how does he know that the PS5 won't be able to do that if he's never had to do that for the PS4 himself? That.
Well, Lily is right, by the way. I completely forgot about Shadowfall that came out. Killzone Shadowfall. I think the last one that I played was Killzone Mercenary on the PS Vita. That's the last one that I actually remember. I don't think I actually played Shadowfall. It was a release title.
Wasn't? Yeah, I'm going to say one launch title. I did actually have that. Now that you say that, I borrowed it off of Mr. Gary Clark, and then never actually played it and sent it back to him. So what a waste of time. But yeah, but even that, a PS4 launch title, the PS4 itself has improved even drastically since then. So he wouldn't have been developing for a PS4 Pro. He would have been developing for an early PS4, which will have system updates and stuff anyway. So yeah, just gonna quickly try to jump through the chat. There is a lot that we've missed out. Tito Xbox Master Race. Sorry, how do I ban Tito 20? NX true. I'm an Xbox fanboy, but I agree on the Xbox's faults and reserving judgment till the consoles are out. People have been going on and on about specs, but specs don't translate into real world use. Exactly. The Xbox Series, Xbox One X is the better, more powerful console if you look at numbers, but it's sold half of what the PS4 has. So which one is the better one? Better is success, not numbers. Betamax was better than VHS, but nobody had a Betamax player in their house when they were growing up. And probably most of the people in this chat are like, what's a VHS? It's not a sniper rifle, it's fine. You could literally Google anything, look it up on YouTube and whatnot, and come to a conclusion that it's real. Therefore, you could do the opposite with the opposing idea. Exactly. So many fanboys in console games that it's actually made me not give a damn. Agreed. It's most thing on the internet now. Just the only thing with video games is very online, which is why we kind of often feel it's just video games fans. But you go onto a passionate Facebook page that your nan's on about crochets and which is the best way of doing it. They probably have like stupid opinions on there as well. It's just people. What about Pornhub links? Are they good to post here? No, but if you want to send it to twitter.com/we've got Bibinho, then maybe. Oh, yeah. More is always better for Bibby's hair. I still think the PS5 controller looks like it could have been in Avengers Endgame. It does a bit. I did see a message on that. It looks like they're what are the suits called? The white blue ones with the A on the chest. I can't remember what they're called, but yeah, it does look a bit like that. Wipeout Mega Collection was just a remake of the PS3. Killzone was a PS4 release title. Killzone. There we go. PS5 looks like a Stormtrooper got jiggy with R2-D2. Yeah. Development basically is the same. These things are just easing the stone. Showing your age there, Graham. Absolutely. Although I never had a Betamax. I only know that because that was one that my dad used to say to me, but I definitely know my VHS life. Yeah. Quantum suits, that's it. So the PS5 controller looks like a quantum suits. Have the consoles been confirmed even with COVID around? Ish. We have messages that things are still on track for holiday releases. The closest we've got was a PS5 comment saying that they expect it to release, but they expect that it could be in short supply, aka feel free to pre-order because the market is going to be price gouged by scumbags. I think that's kind of what they're saying. And if that bird bot has anything to do with it, that's been price gouging for Nintendo Switches, if you are in America, pretty much write off your chances of getting it from Walmart or Best Buy, because unless you're willing to spend 200% the price, then you're not going to get one, because people are just going to bird bot. A bird bot is basically an app that tells you when they get new stock in Walmart and Best Buy, and then spits that at you with a notification, so you can jump on, add it to your basket, and buy it straight away. So to then aim to resell it at a higher price. So yeah, if you're in America, get your pre-orders in, because you ain't gonna get one. At least not from them two places anyway. Tito says, I was going to buy a Spurs Cup winning compilation, but I didn't have a Betamax player.
In a very short video.
Enix says, people are wanting mass refunds for Predator already. Damn, really?
Big yikes.
What's the reasoning for that? Is it because it's buggy, or is it because it's not great? Because something being buggy is one thing. Something being not great is down to perception. And all I could say is, like, if you buy into a Predator game expecting a 9 out of 10, then you need to sort out your perceptions, because your priorities and your perception of what to expect is way off. Game shit, bit of both, to be fair. When it works, it's not bad. Okay, see, that's different. If it's buggy as fuck, then yeah, fair enough. Frame rate and resolution was terrible on PS4 Pro. That I can take a bit more with a pinch. If your game is buggy and broken, like WWE 2K20, fair enough, get your money back. If it just doesn't look up to scratch, that's still shit, but not as shit. If you just don't like the story and the direction of it, then like I've used it on here before. Predator: Concrete Jungle was the last PlayStation game that I played, which was back on the PS2, and that got a Metacritic of 47. So the numbers are out there. Predator games get less than 5 out of 10. So don't expect a 10 out of 10 game, because it's not going to be. Yeah. If you bought it expecting it to be more than a 4.7 out of 10, then yeah. Sadly, most games are buggy as fuck nowadays. Day one patches are the norm. Yeah, that is true. I don't think that's acceptable. Games being patched to add things in and take tweaks and improve them is acceptable in day one patch for me. A game being buggy as fuck, I don't feel ever should be acceptable. You should be able to play your day one game on the disc and it work perfectly. Not be the best version of itself, but it should work, not perfectly, because that's obviously an ultimate, not an ultimate, that's an absolute. It shouldn't be perfect, but you should have a really good game on the disc. You shouldn't have to have the day one patch to make it good and to fix stuff. I don't think that's ever acceptable. Google's how to befriend/date a Target or Walmart essential employee and get dibs plus a discount on PS5. Copies how to befriend/date, copies and pastes into. Sounds like you're talking about FIFA and PES. Well, any game really. Why is it except the football games are allowed to be this incomplete and rushed for release? I don't think it's necessarily football games that. I think the interesting thing that most people will see from, okay, rephrase that. We see that as being a thing of football games because that's what we play. It's interesting if you look at other games that have that same sort of release window, a 12-month cycle. The things happen all the time. So to be it an NHL game, I mean, they are small communities, and they are a bit more thankful for the fact that their games are getting a bit of representation. And football is a completely different mindset in terms of like football fan attitudes versus rugby fan attitudes and so on. But annual release games, they all have their complaints. It's not just FIFA and PES. It could be NHLs, it could be NBAs, it could be whatever. But that does come down to the it's probably, we say a 9-month development window. It's probably not even that. Obviously, it's a 12-month cycle. 3 months of it is usually, this is the new game, da-da! And then 9 months is, okay, we're going to work on the next game. That's what we kind of say, but it's probably not even that. So that's not a large amount of time to work on a game. When it was PS2 and PS3, yeah, probably. But now we're factoring in, not even yet. Now we will also be factoring in ray tracing and all of the other functions that will be coming with new technologies. That potentially more frames per second. Like one of the consoles 8K 120 frames per second or something. I kind of remember it saying, like, doing that sort of stuff in 9 months, just rendering the assets will take you a shitload more time. So I think that's the reason why it's not so much of the sports games, it's annual release titles. Do I think it's acceptable? No, I don't think it's acceptable. You as a consumer are purchasing a product, but yeah, tis what tis. Football games should move to a live service with a yearly update fee. Yearly iterations are a con. They aren't new games. I agree with that. I like the idea of football games going, okay, this is our core title. We were talking about it just yesterday. What was it? Call of Duty Mobile. Me and Bibby were saying Activision kind of have to release a Call of Duty game every year now because that's business. It is business. That's where the money is. That's where they're getting all their money from. However, they're not going to release Call of Duty Mobile every year. They're just going to update the Call of Duty Mobile and give you new content in it, and that is the better plan. Not just for sports games, for all games, but mobile is a different ecosystem that doesn't have the history built behind it and all the expectations that are now the foundations of the business, and that's what it is. It is also business as well as stuff. So yeah, I completely agree that football games, first-person shooter games, whatever. Why give someone a new one? It's business. It is business.
But I need to jet because I need to go to the bank.
Yeah, I need to jet because I need to start firing up the barbecue. God damn. So anyway, let's call it there. We have covered through. Well, we actually finished our articles probably about 20 minutes ago, but then we jumped into the extra bits on Enix's Chris Granell link and stuff as well. Thanks for the link again, John. Much appreciated. My analogy is buying a misprinted book, a film without the ending, a car with a missing door. See, a misprinted book is probably more like it. A film without the ending, not so much. It'd be more like the ending is there, but like something's in the camera frame or whatever. I see where you're going from, but yeah. Football games aren't that bad. Football games should move to... I've done that bit already. Look at the backlash from the other games like WWE 2K20 that got wrong, but football games get away with it. I wouldn't even say they get away with it. People are aware of it. Football games get ripped for it pretty often. But yeah, they get away with it because people still buy them. That's essentially the issue. WWE 2K20 is so bad I bought it so I can have a comedy game. At least quad rotate developers, which in theory increases dev lead time. That's true. 3-year cycles there now. They Sledgehammer, Activision, and Treyarch, so they split between the three of them. Plus, they have Raven in there as well. Anyway, I want a barbecue, says Jordan, and so do I. So we're going to end things here now. As David says, wasn't there a football game that was caught out for just reskinning the previous year's game and forgot to change the copyright year on the title screen? Was there?
Well, I know that FIFA 20 came out on the Nintendo Switch was exactly the same as it was last year. I don't even think it was called anything different. Usually they call that Legacy.
That's what
edition.
Tito's just said. Yeah, EA did a Legacy edition on Switch, which was FIFA 19 with updated rosters only and still charged full price. It's not for me, Jeff. It's not for me. It's not for me. But anyway, tell you what else is not for me. Staying indoors when it's gloriously sunny outside and I have barbecue food, burgers and sausages ready to eat. So we are going to disappear, but thank you everyone else for jumping in the chat today. Very much appreciated. We like a good conversation, and yeah, we've had a lot of opinions and links and stuff, so very, very much appreciate it. We are done for the week, though. We will be back on Monday at 10 a.m, we think. Best way you can find out that is to hit the follow button, which is up there, or follow us on social media, because then you get all the updates when we go live anyway. But before we disappear, anything you want to add before the weekend, babe?
Yes, I do. If you do see any video game news knocking around the social media platform of your choice, then do feel free to We've Got With Being Yo, @Graham_day, and most importantly, Ice Cream Uploads. We'll take your thoughts and impressions of the news article that you are forwarding, give our thoughts and impressions on the news article that you've supplied to us in the very next show, which will be at what time on Monday, Graham?
10 a.m, we think. Boom.
Ish.
We will see. Like I say, only way you can know is to follow, like Bibby's just been saying, those channels. We are going to disappear for the weekend, though. I mean, obviously going to leave with the normal tagline that we usually do. But before we do that, I'm going to just have a quick look to see if there's anyone else online. Paul 227. Right, okay, we'll raid Paul after this. So we are going to disappear. Please feel free to stick in and drop into Paul's chat and say hello for the raid. It's very much appreciated. He's a good guy who supports our channel, so it'd be appreciated if you could help us support him. Until then, have yourselves a wonderfully good weekend. Enjoy the sun and the barbecues, and make sure stay frosty.
Stay frosty.